Vanessa. Vanessa.
Good evening, members, and welcome to this extraordinary full council meeting on today, Tuesday, the 18th of January. I'm Councillor Mark Hurd, Chairman of the Council. Members, the setup for the meeting has been designed to mitigate for COVID. Therefore, can I ask all present to work to the protocols agreed by the Council on the 2nd of September 2021 in the interest of member and officer safety. We're streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present at the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. Members and officers, during each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. When invited to speak, please reference a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers. Keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible and remain seated. We are live stream sound recording this meeting, and this is dependent on the correct use of microphones. Therefore, can I ask, when you are invited to speak, please remember to turn your microphone on and off when finished. Please can you also avoid approaching the top table in front of the cameras, as there are live feeds and they are hazardous and affect our streaming. I'd like to draw your attention to the notices on the agenda papers regarding the different levels within the chamber, and advise that the fire exit is the door behind this top table. Members, I'll also add that members need to confine their participation to matters relevant to any agenda item. Any declaration of interest should be limited to the declaration itself. It is inappropriate to use public meetings to make allegations against employees or other members. An official complaints procedure exists to raise such allegations, and these procedures should be used, and the monitoring officer should be contacted for further advice. Any member that does not comply with these requirements will be in breach of my ruling. I will warn them to desist, and if they persist, I will either adjourn the meeting or propose that the agenda item should be dealt with without access to the public under Local Government Act 1972, Schedule 12A, paragraphs 1 and 2, and that such action satisfies the public interest test. If we do go into private session, the live link will be cut, and that member will have denied the public having access to the debate and voting on that agenda item. I've one other notice. At the last council meeting, I've been informed that there was some cheering in the chamber by members over a death threat. I would like to let people know that it is not acceptable, under any circumstances by any member. Councillor Siddle.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like it noted that that cheering did not come from independent group members. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. What I can say is I don't know who it came from, but nevertheless, I do not like to hear it in this chamber. Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I just ask, did you hear the cheering?
No, at the time I was conversing directly with you.
So you didn't hear the cheering?
No.
Did the monitoring officer hear the cheering?
Anyway, I've made that statement, and it is unacceptable.
It is unacceptable, and I'm a little bit saddened that the top table are denying hearing it. Thank you.
I'll move on now to agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Ms Bird, could I have any apologies, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies have been received from Councillor Durham. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Fleming as well, I understand.
I believe she's
I don't know, something as a family. I believe may try and get here, but I would doubt it. I think you got the email, Chairman.
I did, yes. Thank you very much. So agenda item 3, members, are declarations of interest. This is just to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraphs 6 to 8 inclusive of the Code of Conduct for members. And members are reminded they are also required to disclose any such interests as soon as they become aware, should the need arise, throughout the meeting. Councillor Mays.
Non-pecuniary, thank you. Non-pecuniary declaration in relation to item 5. I live in Ulting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stamp.
The normal chairman. I'm a member of Essex County Council, but I can't see anything where there've been consultees on tonight's agenda, but just to cover, just in case, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No other declarations. Okay, we move on now to agenda item number 4. This is leaders and composition of political groups. These are found on pages 5 to 8. Members, I have to tell you that I was informed by Councillor Siddle earlier today that he has asked me that he has stepped down as leader designate, and as a result I will be nominating Councillor Richard Siddle as leader of the council. Do I have a seconder?
Proposed Councillor Benny, Chairman.
First of all, I'll take Councillor Mays's seconder.
Point of order, Rule 1, Chairman.
Councillor Thompson. Yes, Councillor Boyce.
Thank you, Chairman. Rule 1, I think it's 7 or 8, but it deals with statutory annuals. Unfortunately, the Constitution is quiet on the leader designation, but if we follow the same procedure as the statutory annual, the leader designate, if there is no leader designate present tonight, then the leader designate should be the leader of the next biggest party, which is Mrs. Channer, should be the leader designate, as the independents are leaderless.
Yes, thank you for that. But this is not a statutory annual. It is an extraordinary, and obviously it is at my discretion to interpret the Constitution. So, do I have any other nominations? Councillor.
No, Councillor.
Well, I did hear Councillor Thompson first. Councillor Thompson. Is that seconded? Who's that seconded by, please? Councillor Beale, thank you. Any other nominations? Councillor Stamp.
It's not a nomination, Chairman. I just would like to ask why, if you're allowed to tell us why the leader designate has resigned. It's my understanding he did the same at the last one, and I just think it would be helpful to the members of the public as well as some of the members here if we could have some advice. I'm sure it's above board and it's legal, and I don't know if the monitoring officer can help, but I think a full explanation is required, because I personally feel it is playing games, Chairman, and I'm sorry, but that is how I feel.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll refer to the monitoring officer.
Obviously, I can't comment on whether this is playing games or not. That's for members to decide. But if the leader designate, if Councillor Siddle has resigned as leader of the independent group, then he ceases to be leader designate. No ratification process can take place because there is no leader designate, because the independent group have not chosen anybody to take his place. That's my understanding of the situation. So that it then leaves it for there to be, this is an agenda item, and it is an agenda item for the council to have a leader of the council. that then leaves it open for the chairman to ask for nominations in the absence of a leader designate who at the last moment has resigned from his position. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr Quelch.
Councillor Channer.
Well, thank you, Chairman. In light of what Councillor Stamps just said, that's got me thinking. And Chairman, I think you said you heard earlier today that Councillor Siddle had resigned. I'm rather surprised the notification didn't go round to all members to advise us of that, Chairman, because really as a council I think we should have been. And I'm now hearing that it happened at the last meeting at 5 p.m. I've just picked up again, Chairman. Were you advised of that? And why weren't we all told? I think as members, when something like that happens, we do have a right to be made aware of the situation, because otherwise it could be said others are advantaged to other members. If you see where I'm coming from, Chairman, I'm very surprised, but I'm not having a go. I'm just saying I'm rather surprised that on receipt of receiving that, perhaps officers or your good self didn't let us all know.
Okay, that's noted. Thank you. Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say that what Councillor Channer has described is exactly the behaviour that I've been receiving from this council. No one's getting my emails. No one's allowed to have my emails. No one wants to inform me about anything. So, you know, have some back.
Okay. So we have, members, we have two candidates. What I propose to do is to put that to the vote, and it will be
Recorded vote, please.
Vote, please.
is that second. That's obviously seconded.
Good vote, yeah.
Okay. So the are you ready for that, Miss Bird?
Yes, Chairman.
So it will be either Councillor Channer or Councillor Siddle. If you could call the roll, please.
Sorry, Chairman. Sorry, can I just clarify? Are we, when you're going round, are you asking us to give the name of the person we're supporting, or what? I'm
I
not
am.
quite clear.
Yes.
Right, so we say Councillor Siddle or Councillor Channel or Siddle or Sant.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just so it's
we're
clear.
doing it that way.
So just so it's clear, members, it's either Councillor Siddle or Councillor.
Is that the right
Channel.
way, Chairman, to do that? Someone trying to get in. There's someone knocking.
Yeah, we can hear.
But it might be a member.
No, all members.
Yes, it might be. Chairman, I asked to see who's knocking. I don't like people knocking.
All right, we'll just.
Really difficult to find out. Councillor Beale here. She's sat in here because for various reasons.
Right. Okay. So, Councillor Stamp.
Sorry, Chair, can we just have clarity? So we're voting for Councillor Siddle or Councillor Channer at the same time. So you're not doing Councillor Siddle, yes, no, and then Councillor Channer. Is that?
No, it will be just a name.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Whoever your preference is, please. Or abstain. Yeah. No. Okay. All right. It's not a minute.
We can do abstain as well. So it's Channer, Siddle or abstain.
Channer, Siddle, or abstain. Yes, please. Okay. Miss Bird.
Thank you, Chairman. Starting with Councillor Bassinger, please.
Councillor Siddle.
You, Councillor Miss Beale.
Councillor Channer.
Thank you, Councillor Brian Beale. Councillor Bell.
Councillor Siddle.
You, Councillor Boyce.
Councillor Channer.
You, Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Well, I better make sure I say the right one. Councillor Channer.
Thank you, Councillor Dewick.
Councillor Channer.
Councillor Edwards.
Councillor Siddle.
You, Councillor Fluker.
Councillor Mrs. Channer, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hurd.
Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Helm.
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Councillor Hubner.
Councillor Channer.
You, Councillor Hull. Councillor Mrs. Channer. Councillor Keys.
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Councillor Lagan.
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Councillor Mays.
Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Morley,
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Councillor Morris, Councillor Morris, sorry Chairman, Morris,
Councillor Siddle, of course.
thank you. Councillor Nunn,
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
Councillor Shaughnessy, sorry Chairman.
No, I didn't say anything. I was waiting. Thank you, ladies. Councillor Siddle, thank you.
You, Councillor Siddle,
Councillor Siddle.
thank you. Councillor Skeens,
Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Stamp,
Councillor Channer.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Siddle.
Mrs Stilts,
Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Swain,
Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Mrs Thompson.
Councillor Mrs. Channer.
And I understand Councillor Miss White's not present. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see. Sorry, I do apologise. Councillor Miss
Councillor
White.
Mrs. Channer.
Thank you, Chairman. The results of that are 15 for Councillor Mrs Channer, 13 for Councillor Siddle, and no abstentions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In that case, I declare Councillor Penny Channer as leader of Malden District Council.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you very much? I'm very privileged and honoured. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for that, members. We now move on to the election of the deputy leader for the council. Do I have a nomination?
Councillor Mrs Thompson, Chairman.
Seconded.
Councillor Mrs Thompson, and that is duly seconded. Who seconded that, please? Councillor Hubner. Are there any other nominations? No other nominations. In that case, I declare Councillor Mrs Thompson as deputy leader of Malden District Council.
Congratulations, Mrs Thompson.
Excuse me, Chairman. Thank you, members. Appreciate it.
She's
So we move on to 5 then in that case, don't we? Yes. Yes, okay. Right, members, we move on then to agenda item number 5, which is the Langford and Ulting Neighbourhood Plan, decision on examiner's report, and this is contained on pages 9 to 80. The purpose of this report is to inform members and seek their approval for the recommended modifications made in the examiner's report at Appendix 1 for the Langford and Ulting Neighbourhood Plan, and to seek members' approval for the neighbourhood plan to proceed to referendum. The recommendations are that the examiner's modifications be agreed, and that subject to these modifications, the neighbourhood plan meets the basic conditions and other legislative requirements. 2, that the draft decision statement attached at Appendix 2 be approved to be published on the Council's website, and that the Langford and Ulting Neighbourhood Plan be agreed as modified at Appendix 3, proceeds to a local referendum based on the boundary of Langford and Ulting neighbourhood area as recommended by the examiner. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mays, thank you. Members, I do have Matt Winslow who is present on this report. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Channer.
Well, can I just say, I know Councillor Durham's not here tonight, but I believe he's one of the ward members for Langford and Ulting. And I know this has gone on a very long time, this process and procedure. And indeed, I've been involved some years back with the villages. So I'm sure we will be told about the examiner's modifications, but I understand they're ones that we actually need to agree because it meets then the requirements of what is required to go ahead. If we don't, then that's a different scenario. So I'm sure Councillor Durham, if he was here, in fact, I know as much, would support this, Chairman. So I just give that information.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fluker.
Thank you, Chairman. John, I think I said this last time, but before we vote on this, and I don't have any problems with the recommendations, I think it's right.
Sorry, I can't hardly hear you, Councillor Fluker.
Sorry, Chairman, I understand that the piece of legislation banning noise at protests didn't go through the House of Lords, so I'll try and speak a bit louder.
Thank you.
Chairman, I said this last time, and I don't change my mind this time. I really would like to pay tribute to the people that put this plan together, because local place planning is very, very important. It's going to be fundamental and a core piece of information within the new LDP, the new MPPF, as it comes forward. And I think we really should thank these people, and also, Chairman, encourage some of our other parishes to come forward with local plans. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions by members? Councillor Stamp.
Chairman, could we please shut that window and open a different one, because I can't.
Yeah, if we could.
I'm so sorry, but we can't hear you and anybody else.
All right. Okay, if we could open those, please.
Oh no, don't let Bob die.
Thank you. Well, we'll leave those open.
Can you repeat the question that's been asked?
Who's I don't think it was a question. It was a comment. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Stamp.
Was it, Chairman?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
There wasn't a question. It was, can we have the window closed, Chairman? See, nobody can hear anybody.
All right. Thank you, members. Thank you. Councillor Bell, was it the same point?
Same point.
Okay. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman.
Okay, members. Can we move? Would you like to vote on this, or can we agree by assent?
Agreed.
That is agreed. Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item 6, which is the council tax base 2022-23, and this is found on pages 81 to 88. This is the setting of the council tax base. That's the number of houses on which the residents' council tax is set for 2022-23. Any member who has council tax arrears of more than 2 months, you are reminded that you must declare at this time, and you are not able to vote. Do I have any declarations? I do not. The purpose of this report, the council is required to set the tax base for council tax by the 31st of January in the financial year preceding that to which the tax base applies. The council has to notify its tax base calculations to Essex County Council, Essex Fire Authority and the Police and Crime Commissioner for Essex and Parish Town Councils by the 31st of January. The recommendation is that in accordance with the local authorities' calculation of tax base regulations 2012, the amount calculated by Malden District Council as its council tax base for the 2022-23 year shall be set at 25,524. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mays, thank you. Members, are there any comments, or can we agree this by assent? Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item 7, vacancies on committees, working groups and outside bodies. These are found on pages 89 to 92 of your pack.
3 to 6 on the supplementary.
And 3 to 6 on the supplementary.
It's been
Thank you.
updated.
Okay. So we move then to this item, and this is to appoint vacancies associated with Councillor Stephen Nunn's, Councillor Kevin Laggans and Councillor Bob Boyce's recent withdrawal from committees, working groups and outside bodies, as well as the resignation of Councillor Carl Jarvis as a district councillor. And I shall be taking each of the recommendations in turn. Number 1, that the council ratifies the group nominations for committee vacancies set out in section 3.5 and appoints a member to fill the non-aligned vacancies. Councillor Channer.
To nominate people to sit on the committees, if you're happy for me to do that, I can go through the whole lot. Right. How would you wish to go, Chairman?
I have the recommendations here that we need 2 non-aligned members for PG and A. Okay, I'll take those.
I nominate that Councillor Stamp and Councillor Fluker be appointed to the Performance, Governance and Audit Committee. As to go to the non-aligned vacancies, that's quite clear. So I nominate Councillors Stamp and Fluker, Chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Oh, sorry, is that seconded? Thank you. Any other nominations? In that case, Councillor Stamp and Councillor Fluker will become members of the PG&A. The next item is Strategy and Resources. 3 non-aligned members. Councillor Swain.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I would like to nominate councillors Nunn and, well, I probably can't nominate Councillor Stamp for that now. Councillor Lagan and Councillor Nunn for those two of those positions.
Chairman, can I please propose Councillor Nunn, Lagan and Fluker? Because actually, Chairman, with the resignation of Councillor Boyce, only 3 members now can sit on it. They must still be on the line.
Yeah.
And Councillor Nunn, Lagan and Fluker have the right to sit on that committee. And they're the only ones.
Okay. Can I confirm that Councillor Nunn and Councillor Lagan are prepared to sit on that committee?
Yes, Chair.
And also Councillor Fluker. Thank you very much. Is that seconded? Thank you. Councillor Hubner seconds that. So those 3 members will become members of Strategy and Resources. That's Councillor Nunn, Councillor Lagan and Councillor Fluker. We have 1 nomination for the Joint Standards Committee, and that is 1 Conservative. Do I have a nomination? Councillor Channer.
Yes, Chairman. Obviously, I nominate Councillor Mrs. Thompson, but there is another vacancy which has to go to a non-aligned and has to be a non-aligned. So I'm proposing Councillor Helm. So my nomination is Councillor Mrs. Thompson as the Conservative nomination, and Councillor Helm is a non-aligned, and I'm happy to nominate Councillor Helm, Chairman. Thank you.
Are there any other nominated? Councillor Fluker. All right. Thank you. That's second. Any other nominations? In that case, I declare that.
Councillor Morris.
Oh, Councillor Morris.
Sorry, if I can speak after you finish, please, Chair.
Okay. So Joint Standards Committee, 1 Conservative, which is Councillor Mrs. Thompson, and 1 non-aligned member, Councillor Helm. Is that agreed by assent? Thank you. Councillor Morris.
Thank you. As you may be aware, I've left the chamber because there is considerable outrage that members of the public are being kept out of a public meeting in a public building, and their public money is being given to private security to keep them out of this meeting. I've gone down to speak. I was wondering if there's anything we can do at all to accommodate any members of the public that are respectful, because obviously as a chair you have the power to remove members of the public that might cause a scene. To save all what's going on downstairs, is there any way that we can get respectful members of the public to view this meeting at the back there?
Okay, I do have a view on that, but I'll take Councillor Fluker's point.
Chairman, I think that in a roundabout way, I think Councillor Morris makes a good point. I mean, we've got to, the democratic process has to be seen to be taking place. This meeting has almost come to its end tonight, but Chairman, I wouldn't propose that they come in this evening because a decision's already been made. But Chairman, I really do think you need to visit this with the monitoring officer and the officers to see if there's any way that we can accommodate these people at future meetings, any members of the public, not just these people. And Chairman, I also want you to take note of what Councillor Morris said, because clearly you do have the power to eject people from this chamber if you need to. Thank you.
Yes, I'm mindful first in the first instance about the number of people in this room, but I will take advice from the monitoring officer.
Do you want me to give a view now?
Yes, if you could, yes.
Members, my understanding is that this council made a decision in relation to the safety of everybody, employees, members and the public. Because of the present crisis with COVID, my understanding was a resolution was made that really it can only be members, and even many employees are not attending simply because of that. They are attending remotely. Now, that's a resolution of council. Council would have to change that resolution. Of course, council can do that. Council is sovereign. But at the moment, that's how matters stand. And that is why what is why we have security staff down there. Now, can I just say two things here? A second thing here as well. The council also has health and safety responsibilities as well. The Local Government Act 1972, with the access to the public, does give the right for members of the public to attend. But also, the council has public health duties, health and safety duties as well. And the guidance from the government is very clear about restricting numbers and only essential people being in meetings of this nature. So if the council were to let the public in, then there is an issue of the council satisfying its health and safety responsibilities, public health responsibilities. This isn't simply, as I understand it, the council resolving that they didn't want the public in. This is the council resolving to protect people's health and well-being. Now, members can change that, of course they can, and that's a matter for you as members. But that is why we are in the present situation.
Councillor Morris, you want to come back on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, a legal maxim that Mr. Quelch should be aware of is that consent removes error. We are acting ultra vires by not allowing the public into a public meeting to watch the democratic process. There is more chance of someone getting crushed down there than killed in here from Omicron. We have residents, they are residents outside, they are not protesters, they are asking to exercise their democratic rights to watch what's going on. We have empty seats at the back, and we should allow the people to come in and watch what's going on.
They can see it online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. My view is that if members of the public wish to see this meeting, it is being broadcast on YouTube. Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Councillor Hurd. Not everyone's got the internet. These people are here, and like we need to be here physically, they have a right to be here physically as well. This looks like we are trying to keep business closed when that is not the look the council should have. Yet again, I reiterate the point, it is their democratic right to witness the democratic process. We cannot keep the public out of a public meeting in a public building.
I hear what you're saying, but I think on the grounds of advice by the monitoring officer and through the health and safety, on this occasion, I'm going to keep this meeting with this number of people in. I'm concerned as it is with the number of people in this room. Let's come back once more.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Well, I'll be leaving the meeting because I've got a lot more in common with the people out there than the people in here. I'm here for the residents, yeah? And we are acting ultra vires by stopping them coming in because it is their democratic right to see the democratic process. Thank you very much.
Well, that's a matter. It is a matter for you. Councillor Fluker.
Sorry, Chairman, I made a request early on that you would visit this with the monitoring officer and perhaps even Councillor Morris, but I think that needs to be done well in advance in the next meeting. We know that the direction of travel regarding COVID regulations is changing. We know that's going to change at the end of the month. So I think we need to do that rather than open up another debate at our next meeting.
Yes.
Only to say that we are going to facilitate people coming to these meetings. So I hope that's a yes, that you will meet them.
Councillor Fluker, and just so the chamber knows, I've sent several emails around that none of you appear to have got asking for this sort of thing to be sorted, and it hasn't been.
All right.
So the sooner we sit down and all talk, the better.
Can I just again refer to the monitoring officer about a procedural matter, Mr. Quelch?
Yeah, of course, members are entitled to put in a notice of motion. The council procedure rules allow that. So if there's any member or several members that feel that they want to see the public now and matters are safer, then a notice of motion can be put in for the next council meeting, and members can vote on that particular issue. As matters stand, it is the resolution of the council that's controlling this. And so likewise members can reconsider the matter and reach a different conclusion. But notice of motion procedure is open. Rule 4 of the council procedure rules permits that.
Chairman, can I ask a question, probably of the monitoring officer, but nevertheless through you? I know we're all keen to get away because this could be one of our quickest meetings for a long time, but is there any reason why we can't debate this tonight? And basically formally.
Well, it's not on the agenda to start.
Well, no, but I think you could, Chairman. You told us earlier on, I think, to Councillor Boyce, that you can make a decision, and we know you can. But my biggest concern here is if someone brings forward a notice of motion, and it's only partially agreed or not agreed at all, and we have a lot of people outside with the hope value that they'll be allowed in, and they're not. That's not fair to them. So I ask you to try and think of another way to do this so that we can be in a position to facilitate them at our next meeting, rather than discuss a motion and not know what the outcome of that is, Chairman. And I'd like to think that, you know, we could propose a motion tonight which allows you to go away and sort it out in time for the next meeting.
Councillor Helm.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Would it be possible to have a large television screen outside so people can view outside, like they do with football matches and similar? They can see exactly what's going on.
Well, I think in fairness, they can see that from home.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, if they're outside, would it be possible to put a large screen?
All right. Yes, Councillor Beale.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm under the impression that this has all been through the COVID and government restrictions and everything else.
Sorry, I can't.
But I'm sure that all of the measures are actually going to be greatly reduced this Thursday when the government look at it again after their 3-week period. And I think that will sort this problem out. Because we won't be limited to X amount of people, etc. And as you say, it is being streamed on YouTube.
It is, yeah. Can it be debated tonight?
If you consider it an urgent item. No, in which case that's the only basis on which it can be considered.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Chairman?
Yes, Councillor Fluker.
Chairman, I was going to say, I don't think we've done all the committees yet, but bearing in mind the what's going on outside, can I propose, Chairman, that we deal with the committees and perhaps call this meeting to an end and have another meeting? Lots of meetings.
Chairman, I was just going to say that. Point of order, can we move forward and move on to next business, which is this, and keep going on this?
Sorry, Councillor Chan, I can't.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Could we get on with this business?
Yes. I'm all for that. Right, so the last thing was the Joint Standards Committee, one Conservative.
I think we agreed.
I'm just saying. Okay,
Councillor,
so Councillor Mrs. Thompson and Councillor Helm is for the JSC. So investigating and disciplinary panel, one non-aligned member. Councillor Channer.
Councillor Lagan. I propose Councillor Lagan, Chairman.
Seconded.
That's seconded. Any other nominations? Councillor Lagan, are you happy to serve on that?
I am very happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Councillor Lagan then will be on the Investigating and Disciplinary Committee panel. Investigating and Disciplinary Committee, one non-aligned member. Councillor Channer.
I would like to nominate Councillor Stephen Hull. None, sorry. Sorry, I'm thinking of the farm shop in Hawthorne.
Right. Thank you, members. Councillor Channer.
Councillor Nunn, I propose.
Councillor Nunn for the Investigating and Disciplinary Committee. Are you happy to serve on that?
I am, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, I declare that... are we happy to agree that by a C?
Agree.
Okay, not for me to declare. And finally, F, licensing, one non-aligned member. Councillor Channer.
Sorry, Chairman. I'd like to nominate, please, Councillor Boyce for Licensing Committee, Chairman, please.
Is that seconded? Councillor Fluker seconded that. Any other nominations? In that case, Councillor Boyce will go on to licensing. Thank you. Yes. I'm just going on to PG&A. I think I've got those later, aren't they? Working
PGA
groups.
you've had, Chairman.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'm going to move on for nominations for performance, governance and audit. Do I have two nominations?
We've done that, Chairman. I did that at the beginning.
Yes, so we are. Licensing, right, okay. Right, so we then move on to the recommendations that the council appoints or ratifies a member representative for each of the outside body vacancies set out in section 3.9. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mays. I shall read them out. Action for Family Carers is Councillor Shaughnessy. Blackwater Estuary Siltation Group, Councillor Mays. Bradwell B Community Forum, Councillor Miss White. Civilian and Military Partnership Board, Councillor Bruce Hubner. Essex Flood Partnership Board, Councillor Miss S White with Councillor C Swain as substitute. F Malden High Street Focus Group, Councillor J Keys. Southend Airport Consultative Committee, Councillor Skeens. Stomary's Aerodrome Consultative Committee, Councillor Fleming and Miss S White. Councillor White.
Also, there is Bradwell Community.
Yep, I've done all those.
Liaison Committee.
Councillor Beale.
Okay.
Yep.
Bradwell Local Community Liaison Council will be Councillor Brian Beale. Right, are you happy to agree those by assent, members? Thank you very much. The third recommendation is that the council appoints or ratifies a member representative for each of the working group vacancies set out in section 3.1.3 and the requirement for two nominations for Corporate Governance Working Group and the Leisure Contract Task and Finish Working Group. I would like to nominate from the Chair, Councillor Michael Edwards, for both Corporate Governance Working Group and Leisure Contract Task and Finish Working Group. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mays.
Can I make proposals, please? I'd like to nominate for the Corporate Governance Working Group, Councillor Boyce, and for the Leisure Contract Task and Finish vacancy, Councillor Nunn. I got it right that time, Councillor Nunn.
Sorry, who was the first one?
Councillor Boyce for the vacancy on the Corporate Governance Working Group.
Yes.
And for the Leisure Contract Task and Finish Working Group, where there's a vacancy in addition to Councillor Swain, I'd like to propose and nominate, therefore, Councillor Stephen Nunn. He was on it, Chairman, and for consistency, I think it would be a good thing for him to be on there.
Councillor Edwards. Where? Yeah. Are you prepared to give way for those nominations? You are, okay. In that case, then it will be Councillor Boyce for the Corporate Governance Working Group and Councillor Nunn for the Leisure Contract Task and Finish Working Group. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Fluker, thank you. Is that agreed, members? Thank you. Right.
Could I thank Councillor Edwards, please, through you for
Giving way. Okay.
his generous giving way. I appreciate that. I don't know which way a vote would have gone, but it has saved us the agony, and I greatly appreciate it, as I'm sure we all do. Sorry to...
Okay, thank you very much.
Hang on, we need to remove your first proposal. You proposed, Councillor.
But I think he's already said no, hasn't he? He's basically moved aside.
Yeah, he's moved aside on that.
Well, I'm being told that no, that we have.
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary.
No, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the working groups will be as follows: Air Quality Management Area Member Working Group, Councillor Stilts; Bradwell B Power Station Working Group, Councillor Durham; Corporate Governance Working Group, Councillor Edwards.
Boyce.
Councillor Boyce.
All right, okay, Councillor Boyce. Corporate Plan Task and Finish Working Group, Councillor Swain. Finance Member Working Group, Councillor Channer. And the Leisure Contract Task and Finish Working Group, Councillor Nunn.
With Councillor Swain, who was already on it.
And Councillor Swain, yeah. Are we happy to agree those by assent, members? Thank you. Agenda item number 8, members, I thank you and officers for your contributions this evening. I will now draw the meeting to a close at 2017. As the meeting is closed, members are advised not to enter into any further discussion in this forum and to please leave the meeting promptly, keeping in mind social distancing requirements. Thank you.